And welcome to Sunday evening. I just feel like I'm about to sneeze and I didn't get it out of the way before the stream started. So my apologies if I suddenly sneeze, because just as the countdown was going, I was going, oh God, there's a tickle in my nose. I think it's going to make me sneeze, but it is yet to do so, but I'm just waiting. No, actually, I think the urge is gone. All right, yeah. Yes, so I think the urge has passed. So maybe I won't sneeze. Yeah, that's the biggest issue I'm dealing with at the moment. Will I sneeze or not? Remains to be seen what will actually happen at this point. So, if that isn't an exciting and enthralling and bracing topic to open a live stream with, I don't know what is. I mean, to me, that's entertainment. That's up there with the bright, shining lights of Hollywood at its finest. Me talking about whether or not I am going to sneeze. So we shall see what happens from here. I'm just wondering, is there any big news? 6 cases in New South Wales. They're still sort of going along. So nothing much. Nothing really groundbreaking. There's a bushfire near Perth. That's not good. So Biden outlines 10-day blitz of executive actions to nullify Trump era. Are we just going to be stuck with this bizarre tit for tat in the US? I mean, Trump just acted in a most unhinged manner, obsessively getting rid of achievements of the Obama administration, such as they were, whether it made sense or not. Whereas I would be 100% on board with Biden saying, okay, this little bit of rampant fuckery, Tramp, I'll call him that anyway. That was an accident. The sort of outrageous fuckery Tramp did put in, you definitely want to undo. You don't want to leave it there. Milk my Mantich. Oh, you're going to Antarctica on the 21st. And we'll see you in 16 months. Damn, that is an adventure and a half. Good on you for doing it. Season the day and doing something out of the ordinary. Spending 16 months in Antarctica. Go for it. I mean, that's bound to be an adventure. And good for you. Raiders, good evening to you. Yeah, I feel like I was going to say something there, and it just faded away. Nothing. I'm thinking, what are we? The 17th. It's Wednesday when the official inauguration for Biden happens. I suppose it's Thursday morning, Australian time. And then we hope for it just to be really boring from then on out. Musical aviator, some wild stuff in Antarctica. Yeah, but still, the light aircraft adventures are still fun. I don't want you to completely negate them. Oh, good raise. Are you talking about was that the woman who flew to the insurrection in a private jet and then is mortified at the concept of facing consequences for serious felony behavior? Fucking man. And we still have a couple of days to work out, will Trump do something? Will Trump do a pardon for all the people who were arrested at the Capitol? Because he might. But what's hanging over his head is, motherfucker, if you do that, we'll convict you in the Senate and then do a second vote to have you blocked from ever holding public office again. So your little scam milking money out of all those morons for your presidential run won't happen because you won't be running for president. He may not. Who knows? So, Manchits, you sold all your cars, sold the lot. Yep. Heading to Kaz to enjoy yourself before you freeze your balls off. Yes, as I will. All right, it's okay. You looked it up. The actual inauguration starts at 4 a.m. Thursday, Melbourne time. So by the time I wake up, some 3 hours after that, check the news and see if there's violence. I think not so much in DC because of fairly significant National Guard presence. I doubt there'll be significant incidents in DC. Some of the state capitals, maybe. That's a different question. And I know the ones that they regard as the highest risk also have National Guard presence. One assumes that, rightly or wrongly, the enforcement agencies at the various state capitals will be under orders. If some of these dickheads show up, fuck their shit up. And considering the number of state capitals where it's legal for protesters to open carry firearms, that makes for a very fraught sort of experience. Kind of worry about America. Anyway, Shieldsy, you're doing a big countdown. Birthday in the morning, the big 3-9. Life just keeps getting better as far as I'm concerned, mate. So enjoy life because it beats the alternative. That's my take on it. Some people say, oh, don't you hate getting older? And I went, well, it beats the alternative. It's as simple as that. There are only two alternatives, and one of them is getting older, and that's the one that I take. So, I'm just looking at, are there any other significant news stories? And short answer looks like no. So going well. Bow Wow slammed over packed club performance during COVID-19 pandemic. Yep, that does seem stupid. Oh, Bow Wow, that's Snoop Dogg's son, isn't it? And Meek Mills had a packed show. Yeah, that does seem pretty fucking stupid, in all honesty. Sport is boring and not real news. No, I'm not seeing any significant news. Oh well, there you go. Hello, Abigail. And Milk My Man says, this guy who would have voted for Trump over Biden, rather have Trump wreck the house down. Okay. I think saying both are as bad as each other is inaccurate. I've been on the record for quite some time as saying Biden is an absolutely shithouse candidate. But Trump is a vile, disgusting, festering pile of shit. He's a hateful, spiteful, cruel, bigoted lump of shit who's done just a cavalcade of vile, disgusting things with legislation. He's absolutely contemptible. He's absolutely fucking worthless filth. Biden's just a boring, shitty establishment politician. I, in the strongest terms possible, disagree with the platitude, they're as bad as each other. I think that is utter fucking bullshit. And it's a cop-out to say it is not connected to reality. Biden is a vaguely decent human. Trump is an absolutely contemptible, spiteful, bigoted, festering pile of pus. He's utter fucking filth. He's disgusting beyond words. I'm good with words. I will keep going with words. And I don't think, no matter how much time you give me, I don't think I'd ever fully encompass just how repulsive Trump is on every level. Biden's just a boring, shitty establishment politician. I think he will turn back the worst, most disgusting legislative fuck-ups of Trump. I don't expect anything particularly interesting to come out of his administration. I look forward to being surprised. I don't think I'm going to be surprised, but it would be great if he actually does anything meaningful and progressive. Mind you, he is talking about mandating an increase to minimum wage, which is good and just absurdly overdue. And he does seem to want to do actual proper stimulus for COVID. You, like Trump, seen more money myself in the mining sector since he was elected. Trump's just shit. Trump is absolutely vile, contemptible shit. And if you want to put your individual self-interest above literally hundreds of millions of people, that's a choice you make. I would probably be economically better off under Trump. It's just that isn't something that drives me. And Trump is absolutely vile, reprehensible, and disgusting. He's a liar. He's a criminal. He's a bigot. He's a rapist. It is not possible to go too far in describing how disgusting Trump is. And and then purely on the legislative front, he's done horrible damage to the most vulnerable people, and the vast majority of it was unnecessary. There was no actual gain in doing it. It was purely spite. It was purely vindictive spite, because he's just absolutely disgusting. Like I said, I keep coming back to disgusting beyond words, and then I go, that's a challenge. I'm going to use my words to keep trying to approximate just how vile and disgusting Trump is. It's just, he's just like the worst. He is just the fucking worst. And the fact he has actively sought to make the life of so many people worse just out of pure spite, and the fact that he has promoted divisive and at times straight up fascist ideology, because he had very close advisors who are very obviously absolute authoritarian white supremacists, people who literally venerate Hitler. Like, again, that's not hyperbole. That's not going, everyone I don't like is a Nazi. People like Bannon and Miller actively advocate fascist ideology. They venerate Hitler. They essentially preach genocide. And those are the people who have been influencing Trump, and Trump has empowered them. Like, basically the worst people on the fucking planet. So, yes. Oh, yeah, Raiders. And also killing people, doing those federal executions, doing more in 6 months than happened in the previous 60 years. For what reason? No one fucking knows. It was never a promise. There were never people saying, hey, my awesome white supremacist president, can you start executing people who are on death row? Because that'd be fucking... No one asked him to... Well, obviously someone did. But I mean, there was not a big public thing of, hey, you should be executing people at a rate that has literally never been seen. But honestly, that's way down the list of the reprehensible things he did. You know, he's killed those dozen or so people, but he's enacted policies to fuck up millions upon millions of people, like well over 100 million people. Yeah, Abigail, I did see that Mike Godwin talking about Godwin's law in relation to Trump. It was on two fronts. He did say these people are actual fucking Nazis, so it's not hyperbole. But people regularly get Godwin's law wrong. Like, they get it wrong more often than they get it right, because it's an observation. To paraphrase the original observation, and this goes back to the Usenet days in the 90s, he said, the longer a flame war goes on, the likelihood of someone invoking Hitler approaches 1. Like, he says, basically, if you're fighting on the internet, it is, if it doesn't stop, if you keep fighting, it is inevitable someone will invoke Hitler. And a lot of people misuse it and say, oh, if you call the other person Hitler, you automatically lost the argument. And that is not Godwin's law. It was just an observation that said, if an argument goes on and on, it's inevitable someone will invoke Hitler and say to the person they're arguing with, you're as bad as Hitler. That's what Godwin's law is. But he has categorically multiple times called out, don't start talking Godwin's law when people describe Trump and his administration as Nazis, because they're implementing policy that is like word for word fascist and Nazi policy. Their communications style literally followed the Goebbels instructions about propaganda to the letter. Speaking of Goebbels, it's easy.
So easy, and so Goebbling.
Yeah. The big lie.
No, I found if you inject a gerbil with enough cocaine and stick it up your ass, the gerbil just dies. It's very disappointing. So then you inject the rest of the cocaine into your ass, and then the gerbil comes alive.
I was talking about Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, but I believe he also had gerbil and cocaine action in the butt on the regular. I think that was a thing.
On the regular.
I think that was a thing.
Mad keen gerbler.
Yeah.
You look at him and Richard Gere. Richard Gere say, steady on, buddy. Steady on.
Isn't it fun that we could have bullshit rumors spread around the world 20 years before the internet. Like 10 years before the internet. Like in the 80s, everyone knew Richard Gere stuck gerbils up his butt. Obviously not true.
He said in an interview, it was going around for 5 years and he'd heard about it and he had to look it up and work out what it was. And he went, really? And then after a while, he just stopped denying it because it was like getting a Streisand effect before there was a Streisand effect.
Oh, yeah. You just don't mention it. You don't mention it.
He let it go. And then he started getting letters from people because there's no email. Starting getting letters from people. How do you keep the gerbils alive? And he's just going, oh, ew, oh. And,
he's got enough money. At some point, he'd be having someone else open the letters. He's going, okay, I've had enough of those. I'm hiring you for $5 an hour to open my mail. If they mention gerbils, burn them. And if they're nice, pass them on to me.
I sent the gerbil letters to the police, and then I clean your house. Yes, that's for $5 an hour. Then you pick the avocados. Good wages back then. Good wages back then, better than what they are now.
I looked up recently. It was the anniversary of the Ford company setting this minimum standard for workers. And I think it was the equivalent of, was it $20? No, it was more. It was like more than, in inflationary terms, more than $20 an hour, guaranteed 8-hour day, holidays, other benefits, and with the option to earn bonuses as well. And that was from uber capitalist Henry Ford, because he was just pragmatic and said, well, they can't buy shit if they don't have money. And
they're not going to buy a car each if they can't buy a fucking car.
Yeah.
So, you know, how am I going to sell my first 10,000 cars if the factory workers aren't going to buy one each? And they all did.
Yes.
And also, he wanted to promote the well-being and growth in the proper suburbs of the correct kind of people. Now, if you were to be employed at Ford, you were to be checked out. And to be checked out meant you had to go to the correct church. You had to be of the correct ethnicity.
Yes.
You had to have the correct penis health. You had to have the correct amount of children, the correct amount of sexuality, and the correct amount of morals.
Yes.
And if you failed on any one of these ticks, you didn't get the job. And there were teams of people hired by Ford to go and check you out once you'd applied. And you didn't.
I mean, apart from the obvious visual checks, like, well, you're not black.
You're not black. Okay.
And you don't look too Jewish.
Italian.
Yeah. We might have to look and see if there's anything Jewish or Italian going, or Irish.
Like that.
He probably wasn't big on Irish.
You know, hey?
He probably wasn't big on Irish either.
Yeah. So,
he almost had his fascist utopia city in Brazil, Fordlandia. But he regarded it would have been a paradise for the workers. It was all going to be completely contained, and everyone would have a good standard of living. His big thing is no one would want to leave Fordlandia because I would make it so good they would never want to leave. And it was going to be his perfect white Anglo-Saxon Protestant paradise in Brazil. And who knew? It didn't work. But anyway, you know, he gave it a red hot go. But,
you know, there are fucking Swiss villages in Brazil. You know, it's fucked up. In Brazil and Uruguay, there are fucking, you know, fretwork crazy fucking villages, you know, all through the fucking mountains. And you just go, this is a weird place and a weird vibe. The vibe is Nazi.
Yes.
That's why it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
There are no dark people here. There's a reason for that.
Yes.
You know, it says in German, don't let the sun go down on you in
Yeah, it's like in the US, like these days. Where our sister university was in Oregon, like it's sort of regarded as being really progressive, and that's where all the rights were. There's hippies in it. It is also the whitest state in the US, and it is the only state that includes the southern slave-owning states. It is the only state that ever had a law on the books that said you cannot be black and live here. It's just, we're going to make it illegal. Abigail's saying she can't hear you. Maybe sorry.
Hear me.
Yeah. So you maybe have to lean a bit closer to the thing. Yeah.
I couldn't
but
stumble him.
Yeah. What was the other? They had an actual law that said you can't be black and live here, and they were.
Sorry, go on.
They were abolitionists, anti-slavery, only because slavery would mean there was black people there. They were the only abolitionist state who also had laws about them and they were abolitionists. They were on anti-slavery, but just because they didn't want black people around.
Well, it was funny because it was in the 1990s that a group of black Oregonites discovered that these laws were still very much in existence, and brought them to the legislature and said, "We've come to hand ourselves in." And the legislature, the cops have gone, "Patahana," and and we've come to hand ourselves in because we're in contravention of the law. We've brought property in Oregon, and they've gone, "No, we tend to encourage that." And they go, "Well, you see here in law, this says no black people." And it's like, I see. God, legislature for that one. Did you want to make a test case out of that? We were kind of looking to. Maybe you don't need to. And they were sort of proceeding with the test case, and the legislature said, "We'll just squash that one. We'll just make that not. And don't worry about the test case. Just splash." And there was even apologies apparently going. No one noticed. We forgot. Sorry. Shit. How embarrassing.
That's like the gay couples in Tasmania.
Yes.
They rocked up and said to the
cops weren't actually enforcing the gay laws since the 1970s, really. There was an assault, which the assaulters got away with, and that started rumblings. And then the gay couple went and said, "We're turning ourselves in." And the police said, "Well, you can't get arrested." "Well, we can." "Well, we're not gonna."
And they cited the statute.
And the government.
I had his dick in me last night. You're going to have to arrest us.
Can you stop?
You end up getting arrested just because you start telling the cops in graphic detail.
Please stop talking.
Anyway, then he put on the rubber suit.
That's right. And the fucking leather mittens as well. In you go.
Yeah. Editorial statement. Not all gay people are kinky. Some gay people think the leather thing is weird.
What's weird is you and I can say leather mittens, and I am sure 90% of our audience has no idea what we're talking about.
They can guess. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
No, but the proper leather mittens were round. They're round.
Yeah.
Like you put your hand in, and they're like they're two plates of round leather.
They're spanking together,
and they strap on your hand. And so you can only pick things up you'd have to pick up a plate and feed yourself. And
generally speaking, they weren't put on at dinner time. There was another occasion that you put them on. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Food's a very sensual thing.
It is. It absolutely is.
If you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant, no, it's one of the special Japanese nightclubs. Very
where,
special
where,
Japanese
where,
nightclub.
where you eat the sushi off the naked person.
And
Yes.
eat the naked person, but you got to pay way more for that.
Good evening,
I don't
Shannon,
want to
by the
talk
way.
about your weird fucking cannibalism, which actually happened in Japan.
There was the guy who, a Japanese guy, was in France, killed and ate at least part of his girlfriend, and got arrested. And somehow the Japanese authorities said, "We'll send him back to Japan and we'll prosecute him." And the authorities let him get taken back to Japan. And then he I don't think he saw the inside of a cell, or at least for a very short time.
He didn't. He killed
he
two
became a
people.
celebrity.
He killed two people. He killed the girl in France, and the Japanese wanted him extradited, and so they extradited him. And they were going forward with the trial, and then he produced the paperwork from her saying that she gave him full affidavit, and they went, well, permission is permission. And it wasn't in our country. And the French went, are you fucking kidding me? And then he later on that week killed and ate the German and videoed it. And particularly videoed the affidavit as well. And didn't see the inside of a jail cell. However, the Japanese Secret Service did maintain a 24-hour watch on him for the rest of his life. And whenever he had guests over for dinner, they knocked on the door and invited themselves in and stayed around. And basically, he was complaining to a journalist that they were ruining all his fun. And he just died randomly of a hit of a car. And everyone was going, oh, they've killed him. And it's like, no, just got run over.
Well, he was a celebrity. He was on all the talk shows.
Yeah, he's on all the talk shows. And everyone's
the other thing that pissed off the French
people and stuff. And he's going, yeah, it's great. They go, no, it's not. And so then, oh no, a tragedy has occurred.
Oh no!
I'll have to tell you about it later.
Okay.
I can't believe that tragedy has occurred. Anyway, so he got run down, and they said, oh, they've knocked him off, but he lived for like ages, and then he had a heart attack in a hospital and died. And
that was basically dramatized in one episode of Rake, that ABC series where Richard Roxburgh is the really dodgy as fuck lawyer, and he defends a guy, and it's Hugo Weaving's playing the guy, and the whole defense was the guy he ate approached him and like through some kink magazine, and he killed himself, and he said on video, I want him to like chop bits off me and eat me after I die. And it's sort of like there's no actual statute about cannibalism. Like the initial thing was, oh, he killed the guy, but then all the evidence was he did not kill the guy. The guy killed himself and said on video, I'm going to kill myself. He has nothing to do with me dying. He didn't ask me to kill myself. But what I want is after I die for him to chop bits off me and eat me. And so they were trying desperately to find something to prosecute him under.
It was effectively the same thing was happening to this Japanese bloke. And he nearly got done because he supplied the drink to the German to drink, which had like a fuckload of Nembutal in it or something. And it killed him. And he was also hurting him as he was dying. Right. But the German was getting into that. And also gave permission for that. So that was like, but because he supplied the drink, but then it was shown in the written stuff, the German did, that he had supplied the drug to the Japanese guy to give to him. So he got away with that, and it was a close run thing, but he got away with it. and then he got run down and died of a heart attack later. I mean, Idi Amin died in Saudi Arabia. Pol Pot died in a fucking mansion in northern fucking Thailand. You know, not all the bad guys get it rough.
No, lots of them get away with it.
Fucking jail. Neither did Joe Bjelke-Peterson.
Yeah, Russ Hinds was the one.
Lived to a ripe old age.
Yeah,
John Howard
Russ Hinds was the one who really escaped, because he was the one who was really going down for rampant criminal corruption, and he dropped dead because of how sort of grossly unfit he was, and it was not at all surprising. Yeah, it was not at all surprising that he dropped dead.
It was a fucking walking hamburger heart attack waiting to happen.
You know, he's about 300 kilos.
Racing and fucking booze. You know, prostitutes for fun and profit. Horse racing for your own personal enjoyment. He just fucking was an advertisement for how to be the perfect Australian. Steal everything, eat everything, pay for nothing, you know, hurt people and die and never get punished for it. Die rich and remorseless.
Abigail's factoid: Genghis Khan choked on a chicken bone, apparently. After avoiding death in battle for several decades.
And he was like fucking nearly 80 when he died, right? And was fucking riding into battle at 78 and living, right? And the baddest motherfucker on earth. And had by this time made an empire which was the biggest the world has ever seen. It stretched from fucking outer Arabia all the way into Europe, like all of Asia and Europe, all of it.
Yeah.
And was starting to encroach into Africa, and was starting to encroach into Africa from the other side, and it was all Genghis land. Thank you. Went right up to Spain, went skirted, went right through Russia, was skirting Germany. Fucking you fucking saw it. You better believe there was Genghis Post. And you could post a letter in Genghis Post, and it would get from Spain to Persia in a week and a half, which is fucking better than what it can do now.
Yeah. I was just looking him up, and you'll be surprised to know that we don't have very good records from 1200 AD when he died. And there's like 10 different versions of why he died. And it ranges from falling off a horse to succumbing to battle wounds to, you know, a princess he captured and taken into his bedroom who had secreted a dagger upon her person and stabbed him in the act, as it were. There's basically, we have no way of knowing.
That's romantic. That the princess.
It is very romantic, isn't it? Yeah.
Secreted a dagger, but it would never have happened because for a princess to get a Genghis baby was a surefire way of getting royalty status for her and her family for the rest of their countless generations in the system that they had going. If you were royalty, your blood couldn't be spilled, you couldn't be tried in a normal person's court, and you had to have a taxation stipend, right?
Yeah.
So becoming a bride of Genghis was a fucking A-OK fucking thing to do for the family.
Well, unless, as I say, she was kidnapped from another province after war, and he probably killed her entire family. So she may have been revenge-minded. But also, it's also probably not true.
It's still fucking win-win, you know, because Dad's probably not real pleasant. You know, here, take my daughter. You know, fucking, all right, well, man, the rest will live in royalty for the rest of. I mean, look at Diana. I mean, you know, couldn't wear a seatbelt, but she did have a good lifestyle. Maybe that was a bit harsh.
No, I don't think she was a very happy person. I don't think. I think if the thought had occurred to her to sneak a dagger into the bedroom she would have done it. She would have. I just don't think she was that creative a thinker. No. So
through minefields,
yeah,
not clever.
yeah,
No, put the probe first, not your foot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got a big fucking hard on for Genghis. 1 in 10 men in Mongolia are directly related to Genghis Khan. That's.
I was about to say. I think he had a big heart on for almost everyone.
Everyone, pretty much. Fucking you name it, they were prepared to give it to him. He was given fucking boatloads of women on a regular basis. Genghis, have a woman. Thanks, man.
There was a
trade.
movie years ago, and I think it was meant to be a series, and I don't know if they ever made any others. It was called the English name for it was Mongol. It was a Chinese film, and it was Genghis Khan the early years, and it was quite fascinating how they portrayed him, and it was quite faithful. And this movie finished before he'd even amassed a huge army. He had an army, and he was doing shit. Like the favorite thing is that he was held prisoner for some number of years by someone, and he told them at the time, like they've got him locked in a cell. He's going, "I'm going to get out, and I'm not just going to. It won't be in the history books." And that was a popular legend that he did. There's a place that there's no documented evidence of. It was just in stories. He said, like, "Oh yeah, those dicks, they got on the wrong side of me. So I literally wiped them off the map. I erased any. I wiped out the country, and I erased any mention from the history. I destroyed any record of their existence."
Yeah, you motherfuckers are gone.
Yeah, it was just they only existed as word of mouth, as in, don't piss off the Khan because he really holds a grudge.
So there was two things, right, which was interesting to me. There's two things. There was the story that came out that he was quite tolerant of religion that wasn't his, as long as you were a good whatever you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you could be a Christian or a Jew or whatever, or a Muslim, but you had to be a good Christian or Jew or Muslim. If you weren't, fuck you were dead.
Yeah.
And then came out, oh no, he was very intolerant of other religions, was very anti-circumcision, very, very anti-circumcision. The Jews were not welcomed. And it's like, all right. And then they did the numbers and said, well, there were something like 1.5 million Jews in the Mongolian kingdom, with synagogues that they've dated, at the time. They couldn't have been hiding that well. And so, Jews are notorious for not changing their ways. So none of this is adding up. And there were Christian churches around. There were Muslim mosques around. The coinage basically was all had the Khan's 9 yak tails on the heads, but on the reverse it had the region on. And this is where we get our heads and tails from. And they had paper notes as well. The paper notes was a new thing. Was from China, but they were universal in the Mongolian. Because there's a great story of Marco Polo bringing back this paper note to the patricians, and they burn it, saying, "Oh, this is just paper; it's burned." And he says, "You've just burned 100 gold pieces." Genius. And fuck. Last time I'm giving you 100. And bloody, if you had a Khan seal, you were safe for thousands of kilometers. And the pony post was fucking brilliant. It was like a Roman road system. You could get a letter from Ulaanbaatar and it was for military purposes, but people used it, pony posts for fucking personal reasons and business reasons. You could send a letter across the empire by pony post for a very small fee, and of course, knowing postal services around the world, the Khan was very, very happy because this fucking postal services was bringing in a shitload of cash. Like, because you think, it's only like 50 cents a letter, right? It adds up.
If a couple million people do it,
the Khan's going, fucking, this postal thing's an okay thing. We'll keep that going. Because initially he was going, oh, no, we're only going to have fucking official documents. And his courtiers went, no, actually, boss, take a bit of cargo with. Because, of course, carts were going in and out of Ulaanbaatar all the time. And the way you did trade with the Khan was you didn't come and haggle. You came with spices and silks and cloths and whatever you could sell. And you gave him as a gift to the Khan straight away. Look at this fucking great bounty of gold and shit that I've got for you. And then you'd spend the night feasting. And then in the morning, you might find at your hotel room a chest full of gold and fucking valuable items that you might want to get on your cart and fuck off.
Be nice, yeah.
That'd be nice. And you might want to be doing that on a regular basis, and that might be good.
Oh, hello, Mega Leech. And yes, I do like what's talking about Khan. Abigail, remember when he trashed that sporting goods store? That was a big moment in Genghis Khan history, brought forward by Bill and Ted, and taken to experience a shopping mall. I don't know if you can see this. I made this today. Oh, maybe if I hold it against the white of now it looks white. It's very light green blue. Blue Curaçao's very dark blue. I made a drink with vodka and blue Curaçao, and then did the milk clarification thing on it, and most of the color's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to taste it now.
Angry.
What?
Angry.
What?
You can milk clarify metho, mate.
Yeah.
And
you could.
You can say it's blue Curaçao, but we know when you've taken blue metho or blue kerosene and just
takes the edge off. All I'm saying is takes the edge off.
Well, mate, come on. It's a bit desperate. It's a bit desperate, is what I'm saying.
With my Death Star ice, I'm like, yeah.
Nice Death Star ice there, bro.
That's not a moon.
That's a space. Or just when it's like lit up?
Well, actually, because you got the ice impurities in the middle and they're all radiating out, it kind of looks like Luke's just dropped the torpedo down the exhaust vent, and it's caught in the act of exploding from the inside, and it's just about to reach the surface and blow into pieces. So it's not bad. I mean, it'd be cool and sexy if I had completely clear ice, but I'd have to. I actually know how to do it with this, but it would be a whole thing. It would just be a whole thing where I said, I'm getting a new fridge tomorrow. That might have enough space to do it. Can you see? Okay, no one noticed, but see how clean the fridge is? The things aren't stuck on it because there's nothing.
Are you removing that fridge?
Yeah, that one's getting taken away. New one put in. The new one's bigger and more energy efficient, so it'll cost less to run.
Does it have an ice maker?
No, because you have to be connected to plumbing for that, and this is a rental house, so they're not real big on me punching holes in wall to get at pipes. It does have a water dispenser, though. It's got, you know me, I don't. Oh, okay. I had one of those once, an ice thing, and they actually just make the worst fucking noise when they're in use.
They don't anymore. They used to. They used to make this grinding, crunching sound as the ice was smashed through.
Literally, it was 20 years ago that I had one, so the technology is probably better now. But this one has a water dispenser, again, a non-plumbed one. There's just like a reservoir inside the fridge, you fill it up with water, and then you've got a neat little tap on the outside of the fridge to get chilled water. So, that's a nice touch. But yes, I'm going to have a bigger fridge there tomorrow. I bet they show up during a meeting. Every meeting, I have 2 meetings tomorrow. And I bet, so I'm going to say at the start of each of them, there's a fridge arriving sometime today. So if they suddenly get here, I'm going to be bailing out of the meeting to deal with it. And everyone will be, yeah, we know how it is. So it's like, it's one of those things. So that's what's on the books for me tomorrow.
I'll tell you what's on the books for me tomorrow. I'm smudging the house.
Smudging? What is smudging?
It's when you get okay. Turn voice control off.
Okay.
Right.
What's that all about?
Well, every time I was talking, it was writing a note on my phone.
Okay.
And
Fair
every
enough.
time you were talking, it was writing a note on my phone.
Nice. Okay.
I'm going, no.
That's not what we want.
The notes on my phone. Anyway, you get some sage, American sage.
Oh, okay.
You burn it.
Yes.
Smoke it.
Yeah, smoke it, yeah.
So that it gets all the evil spirits out of your house before Lunar New Year.
Poof.
And,
are you sure you have enough?
Hey?
I just saw that little bunch there. Is that enough?
Well, for one room, maybe not. Yeah. Man,
I put a lot of vodka into this drink, is all I'm saying. Because I did. God, it needs something sweeter in it because I didn't put any. In retrospect, this should have had some sugar in it. It's okay, though. It's just quite potent. Sometimes when you make the clarified ones, it doesn't taste like booze anymore, which is kind of it's kind of good that it tastes like booze because then it's as you drink it, like, remember, this is alcohol you're drinking. So, the ones that end up just tasting like they have like light fruity flavors, like make one with 6 different kinds of rum and some pineapple juice and coconut. And it just tastes like the pineapple and coconut. And you go, this is fine. And then you get all kind of smashed. Dingle, dingle, dingle. There you go. All good? All good. I like the gentle alarm sounds the iPhones have, actually. I do one often. That one I like. And there's a duck one on it that I quite like. Like I had a nap this afternoon and just half an hour. And I thought, I don't even know if I'll go to sleep. I'm just going to lie down, but I'll put 30-minute timer on because I don't want to. And then I just went out like a fucking light. And the next thing I know, I'm in the dark and there's this noise. And I'm going, what the fuck is that? It's a duck. It's my, oh, fuck, I'm asleep. Wake up. And I was just like in this very bottom of a very dark well. And there was a duck quacking at me. And Bex, hello, good evening. Yeah, I love it when you go, your phone's making all sorts of noises.
More dinkling.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, yeah. I like those things where you're so asleep when alarm goes off, it actually takes a few seconds for the brain. Like it doesn't. You do a gentle one, so it doesn't rip you out of sleep, but you spend a while going, "What's that?"
I like those dreams you have when the alarm goes off, and the dream incorporates the sound into the dream.
Yeah.
Like you hear this jackhammer, and you go, "Oh, there's a jackhammer outside in the pool."
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense at the time.
Yeah. Oh God! And kids today, they will not understand the pain of the only sort of alarm being a mechanical wind-up alarm clock with the ringing bells, because
and the anime jokes of smashing the fucking clock.
Yeah.
because you
That
wanted
shit
to
was
every
brutal.
time. Those
That was
motherfuckers were tough too. You could
Yeah.
hit them and hit them again, and they would just.
Oh, that's the most brutal way to be woken up. I mean, the clock radio was such a fucking breakthrough. That
But
was
even then, you know,
it was still sudden, but it's better than a fucking ringing bell with no volume control.
but if Don't It Make Your Brown Eyes Blue or
Yeah.
anything by Janice Ian came on at 4:30 in the morning, you'd want to kill and kill and kill again till the red mist went away.
I forgot you had a real thing about
Touch me
Janice
in the
Ian.
morning before you leave me, Angel. Just touch my feet before you kill me with a knife.
Yeah. I forgot about your issues with Janice Ian.
And
that's come up before.
Who was fat in the wrong places and thought she was good looking. Americans thought
the 70s, man. Everything was different in the 70s. Ugly middle-aged men could have #1 pop hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Pina Colada. Pina Colada was not just a silly song. The guy in front of it was just like, you know, this ugly middle-aged dude. And hi, Stella, by the way.
Hey, Stella.
Now you have to be beautiful. And honestly, you know, that's the way the world should be. Only beautiful people should be allowed good things.
Well, I mean, it's like Justin Bieber says, you know.
What does he say? No, officer, that's not my cocaine.
Not my cocaine.
Hi, Annette, too. Everyone's dropping in now. Okay, cool.
And the Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh, yes. I think she would have been a believer.
Cool chick, and if she was alive, she might have been a believer.
Oh, my God. That was like the best. That is the single best thing a pop star has ever said. Everything else pales into. I mean, the Beatles said bigger than Jesus, you're a fucking amateur. Actually, literally just saying Anne Frank could have been a fan of mine is just the best. It's a bit of magic.
But you think about it. I'm in an attic. I've got nothing to do except for fight with my sisters and hide from Nazis. I would be a believer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be something rather than cutting your eyelids with a rusty razor blade.
Yeah. Okay, have you seen the Taika Waititi movie Jojo Rabbit? It probably came out last year, but yeah, it's where it's about a little kid towards the end of the war in Germany, and his imaginary friend is Hitler, played by Taika Waititi, which a half Jewish, half Maori man playing the role of Hitler is fucking hilarious.
I can imagine.
Yeah, no,
Taika Waititi as Hitler would be very different.
Apparently took him a couple of years to talk studios into making the film.
Yes, very much. Very much. I want you to imagine a cross between the YouTube mashups of the Hitler bunker scene.
Yeah.
And
Annette's seen Jojo Rabbit. It is a very good film. Jojo Rabbit is a very good film. How about you put it to silent? I mean, I'm just spitballing.
No, this is actually very important to go ahead. Shut up.
Well, if the phone's there, it'll still vibrate if a message comes in and won't be that intrusive.
Well, maybe I'll just have to
switch it to silent.
Vibrate. Put it on vibrate.
Just fucking switch it to silent and it'll vibrate. Oh, speaking of noise, Annette's got someone setting off fireworks. That's interesting.
Well, set that to vibrate.
I think Annette would really appreciate it if that person's stuff was vibrating rather than exploding. There's
be a bit shit though, wouldn't it?
Well, the future of fireworks is a million coordinated mini drones with coloured lights on them. There's been some freakishly spectacular stuff done with synchronized drones. It's quite fucking weird because they can actually program 3D animations with, because they've got a couple hundred of these drones that have LEDs, so they can create any color in them, and they create 3D models in the sky. That it fucking blows my mind when you see that.
Yeah, I like it when the Chinese do it.
They're the ones who I've seen do the best ones so far, which is actually a bit spooky because you feel like that might be a military application that they've
Because
got.
then, after they've done the display, then they all fly off to other people's houses and look. And then they come back and do a bit more display, and then they go to another block of houses and look through your window. He's a homosexual.
Yeah. Kaylee Bunny on Twitch. Kaylee lives where earthquakes rarely happen, but next to a train track, the vibrations are bad. I had one, we get tremors sometimes in Melbourne, rare, but you get them. And I was working in the city once, and it was in an office building. I was only on about the 4th floor, and there's one of those little laneways behind it. And I thought a big fucking truck was going down the lane because it was just rumble, 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 shake. And it wasn't intense, but it was very persistent. And I was thinking, that's a big fucking truck. And then everyone kind of went, oh, I think that's an earth tremor. It lasted for about 15 seconds. And it was just enough that it was making noise and you were very aware of it. And then it went away, But
when I was a tiny kid in Canberra, I was in my bunk bed, and it was 6:30 in the winter's morning, so it was dark. And my bed shook and shook me out of bed, and heavy things were jumping up and down on the floor. And I was going, the fuck is this? And I woke up and went out to my mum in the kitchen, who was putting plates and saucepans back on racks. And she said, "You all right, Don?" I'm going, "Yeah." What's that?
What happened?
She said she had a very small earthquake. It's gone now. Don't worry about it. And then it came back. And check. And I said, "It just came back." And she said, "Yeah, it's only a little one now." And it was only a little one, and it didn't happen again. And it was the first time I got the ruler at school. Because we were at assembly, and Sister June, who was a bitch, I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
She was the headmistress of the school. And total fucking cow. Said, "I want you kids to understand that there was an earthquake this morning and that you're all okay. And it's just, there's nothing to be afraid of." And I said, "It wasn't that bad. It was only a little one." And she said, "Oh, Adrian Collette, you bold boy. You can come after the assembly and get a whack with a ruler." I'm going, what? It wasn't that bad. And I was telling everyone around, it wasn't that bad. And she said, "There's no need to be scared." And everyone was going, "I wasn't fucking scared. I'm not fucking scared."
Was she like an Irish nun?
Up and down in bed. We weren't allowed to jump in bed. You get in trouble.
Yeah.
But fucking you could bounce in bed from an earthquake. Fuck, it should be more of it. No one could afford a fucking trampoline except for the kids from Watson.
Was that nun? Was she an Irish Catholic nun, or?
Well, she's a pretendy Irish Catholic nun.
Because calling you bold is a very Irish admonition. Or she knew Irish Catholic nuns or priests. To call you a bold boy that's a very
bold
Irish.
Boy was a very bad thing to be in my primary school. A brave girl was a good thing to be, but a bold boy was a bad thing to be.
I remember at uni, one of the guys, he's playing a Catholic priest, and he's saying, "I'm modeling it on this priest I had to grow up with, who for 10 years, when I was from primary through high school, he called me an Egypt." and I thought that was an Irish word. I thought he was saying something to me like Guelga, and then some 10 years later, the penny dropped. He's just saying idiot.
Idiot, yeah, idiot.
He'd been called an Egypt by this guy for 10 years without real.
He knew
it was bad.
Grow up
He knew
to
it was
be
bad.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So
You're a ne'er-do-well. You grow up to be nothing. You're an idiot.
yes, we had an Irish
Well,
Catholic
she was an
priest in my
Australian,
parish.
and she adopted Irish Catholic sayings. We had real Irish Catholic nuns who were real Irish Catholics, like Irish women who were Catholics and nuns. And they were tiny. You could always tell them because they were tiny.
Yeah.
And
generations of malnutrition.
hello, children. So you're all going to sing, so you are. Now, turn to page. Oh, the page with a picture of the clown with the stupid hat on. Yeah, that's the one. All right. Who's got the triangles? No, don't hit them. Wait till you hit them. Wait till I say till you hit them. Okay, good. That's lovely. Okay, you look grand. Okay, now the kids with the drums. Don't hit them. You've got a special job. You only hit them when I press the blackboard button here. And she drew like a big circle on the blackboard. And I'd say big, but it was probably the size of a 20-cent piece and covered a whole hand. And
that little, yes, yeah.
You know, and it was, it was come up to my neck, which she'd have to reach. Then the kids with the tambourines. Now the kids with the tambourines, fuck, they really swung the band. I mean, they were the violins of the band. I mean, they were the massed tambourines of the St. Bridget's choir band was a thing to behold. Shake, tap, shake, tap, shake, tap, tap. It stirs things in me now of spiritual awakening. And, of course, I was on the tambourine, on the triangle, and we got 2 hits per song. It was ding, 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 wait for a half song, ding, ding, ding. And the drummers, okay, they were used sparingly 4 times a song, but wow, when they fucking hit their solos, bang, 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 4 hits of a drum. That's going to make some fucking noise. Even if it's only 8 of yous. Even if it's only 8 of yous, those 5 triangles. And later on in life, I realized the triangles were reserved for the children who were friendless, like me, or retarded, like me, or not good at maths, like me, or very unpopular. Also like me, but, for all the other reasons. But these other kids were just unpopular. And there were only 4 of us triangle players, and we only got 2 goes. Whereas all the other kids got either at least 4 goes. And like I said, look out if you're on a tambourine. Man, you were carrying the team. You were carrying the team. And then we had to, God, day of days, we had to do then our concert. And we had to sing the song with the clown with the silly hat on. And the kids who could sing words because they could read them off paper, they did the singing. We had this song called And Benji Was His Name. And it was Bingo, Bogge, and Benji was his name. And I sung it well and was told to not sing it ever and to stick to the triangle. And everybody hassled me for Benji was his name. And I went, I'm fucking doing all right. And it's like, you can't even spell Benji. And I go, no, it's Binzo, Bingg, Binfg, and Benji was his name. You know, fucking, I got this. And then later on, years later, I was thinking, I was again just a hipster. I was just too early. I was doing it before it was cool. I was doing hip hop before there was hip hop.
Yeah.
I was doing Ebonics before there was Ebonics. I was fucking the man, and these motherfuckers just didn't recognize my talent. So all I can say is, if you don't want your artistic spirit crushed, don't go to an Irish Catholic primary school.
Talking about small Irish people, Stella is saying Irish is still really short. She's only 165 centimeters tall. Really struck her how she towered over all the women in Ireland, especially Belfast. Like I said, I wasn't joking. That was generations of malnutrition inflicted on the Irish by the English. That was a deliberate
with
policy.
delight too. With delight. I mean, the English really enjoyed starving shit out of the Irish, and I laugh to this day. I look at you, and
Speaking of height, actually, you know what I randomly discovered today?
what?
Karen Gillan, she's Scottish, not Irish. So she's from the mainland, so she's okay. But who's Amy Pond on Doctor Who? She's 5'11". I had no idea.
Yeah, and I knew she was tall.
My initial thought was just dominate me, Amy Pond. You know, make me your Rory.
Yeah. No, I knew she was tall because I saw a few different shots of her, and it was clearly obvious that she was nearly very much as tall as Matt Smith. And I thought, fuck, she's not a short woman, and she was taller than Rory. Quite easily taller than Rory when they didn't. It was either when they didn't force the perspective or when they didn't have him sitting down, standing up. But when they couldn't sort of avoid it, it was obvious that she was taller than.
Yeah, yeah. So Matt Smith's only about an inch taller than hers. So she's 5'11". He's 6 foot.
He's about 6 foot. Yeah. And he's one of the taller doctors too.
Actually, I was just looking. Tennant is slightly taller than him, very slightly.
I did not know that.
1.85 meters.
An average doctor. I knew he's one of the taller ones, but I thought he was an average doctor.
No.
Smith was quite a tall doctor.
Smith is 6 foot, and Tennant's about 6'2".
Really?
And Rory is basically the same height as Amy, and Matt Smith's slightly taller. They're all 5'11", 6 foot tall. So that's why they all look.
Fucking come in as what's that race with the short?
Yeah, no, we get cast as Sontarans.
Sontaran bastards with a fucking.
Especially physique-wise, I'd make a good Sontaran being squashed.
Suck going on Doctor Who. What do you want to be, a Sontaran or a Dalek? Oh, fuck off. I want to be
I can't fit inside a Dalek shell. You'll have to make me a Sontaran. Mike from the Young Ones, who's shorter than us, he's a Sontaran.
He's a Sontaran.
I think
he's
absolutely
one of the best. They brought him back and back and back.
He was in a couple episodes.
Brilliant.
He wasn't Strax, who's probably the best Sontaran, the one who hung out with the Doctor for ages. But yeah, he was the one who led one of the invasions. And there was and I kind of recognized his voice when some unit soldiers find him and kind of make fun of him because he's only 5'4", and they make some sort of oblique height joke, and it just goes, "Is that a slight upon my stature? I don't need," and it, of course, just brings out a gun and vaporizes them. And it was like, I recognize that voice. And so I looked it up and was going, oh my God, it's Mike from the Young Ones.
It's Mike from the Young Ones.
Because they all made jokes because most of the Young Ones were 6 foot and above, up to bloody Neil was like 6'4".
Yeah.
And he's literally 5'4", and so they're all this much taller than him. And so there was a few references to that in there. Henry, greetings from Mackay, Queensland. What is it like in Mackay, Queensland? Okay, Musical Aviator is also on board with a nearly 6 foot tall redhead. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be? Stella, it's taken your mob 6 generations to get enough vitamin D and carbs and protein to actually reach 165 centimeters. Yes,
That's fair.
So you tower over the people who were left back on the island.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect and expect that. Yeah.
This is a weird oblique thing related to that. I found various sites over the years. It's like, free books online that you read, free sci-fi books you can read online. And there's one called the Baen Library, Baen. And there's a lot of sci-fi. A lot of the stuff on that is alternate history stuff. Like, what if something happened differently? And like, there's one of like an alien race contacting people in the Roman Empire and basically giving them the technology to rapidly advance their weaponry through the 19th to early 20th century. Because the evil aliens have started a cult sort of like on the Indian subcontinent who are determined to destroy the world. So the opposing aliens think our best chance is the Roman Empire. Like, there's a big empire over here, and the Romans are far enough away that they could prepare for it and do it. And so and it's really quite fascinating. But what I realized after a while is all this sci-fi was very right-wing. Because who loves military history? Right-wingers, and these alternate histories were always about military things. There was another one, the same guy who did the thing with Romans getting technology, where there was one where a mysterious force displaced a West Virginian town into the middle of the 100 Years' War in medieval Europe. And and they're quite good, but again, they're really right wing, which is quite fascinating. But they had one where one of the storylines of this West Virginians who get transplanted in the 100 Years' War, at some point, some of them ended up in London. And the one thing they didn't realize, that everyone's going to want our technology, but they didn't think of history books. And so the people found out history. And for instance, the King of England found out Oliver Cromwell, his trusted general, was going to lead a revolution and execute the king. At a point where Cromwell hadn't even thought of it. And also because these good old boys are from West by God, Virginia. So they are basically Scottish and Irish refugee descendants. And so they've had ingrained, and I've heard this is true, they've had ingrained in their family folklore, the English are bastards, and Oliver Cromwell was a murderous scumbag who murdered our proud Irish ancestors. And they end up being in the Tower of London at the same point as Oliver Cromwell. And one of the young guys, everyone's telling him to be nice to Oliver Cromwell, but he's been brought up to hate Oliver Cromwell. And this is the real Oliver Cromwell there. And Cromwell's going, "Why do you hate me so much?" And it's just like, because of what you did. And he goes, "I haven't done anything. I've got no problem with the Irish," because what Cromwell's atrocities were 10 years down the track. And so he has no idea what they're doing. And this young lad eventually gets told by his school teacher, history teacher, it's like, okay, I get, we always did the hate Cromwell thing, but what the English did to the Irish was no different to the white settlers in the US with the Native Americans. And the English regarded the Irish exactly as we viewed the Native Americans, as in primitive. And I thought there are two ways you can take that lesson. And one of them is, so aren't you ashamed of how Native Americans have always been treated. The other lesson is, so don't be so hard on Oliver Cromwell because we agree with him about what to do with savages. And that
Exactly.
was being a right winger. The lesson they went is, don't be bad to Oliver Cromwell because he just thinks the same as we do about savages.
You know,
and it's
because
like,
I've met the Irish, you know,
Yeah.
and I've had to hold up pictures,
yeah,
you know, burger, you
Hmm.
know, and pieces of
Sit there and
potato.
go, do that. I stole your soul.
Yeah.
Look, there you
You
are.
know,
I trapped your soul in the
you
glowing
are.
box.
Give me a potato so that
Do-
I can
do what
buy
I
a
say.
burger. Because I know you don't understand coinage.
Where I used to live in Sydney, in Chippendale, there was an Irish restaurant literally down the street from where I was living, and I kept thinking, I have to try that out. And one of the housemates in the shared house was actually English and a git. He's everything you'd expect. And he made some disparaging comment about, "Oh, you want to look at the Irish restaurant? I understand it's a lot of potatoes." And I'm like, great joke. Went to the Irish restaurant. There was a lot of potatoes. You know how you get bread at the start of a meal? It was potato bread. And it was like, there were potatoes in the entree, there were potatoes in the main, there were potato on the, there was potato dessert.
Bloody awful about Australian Irish theme pubs, though. You go in there and they're like these chain establishments that have this faux, almost Formica idea of what Ireland is.
Yeah, no, they're pretty odd.
Oh, there's every stereotype you can imagine.
Yeah.
And lots of pretend Guinness on tap.
Yeah.
And every Irishman you've ever met has said the Guinness on tap over here is not Guinness.
No, it's not really.
And it's bloody awful. And
Irish people would prefer to get bottled Guinness that's been imported from Ireland.
Yeah.
Or cans or bottles that have come from Ireland. They prefer that to draft.
Yeah, I mean the only good thing about the Guinness here is that it's got nitrous oxide in it as opposed to carbon dioxide. Because if you've ever tried to put, I was working at a pub and they'd put the wrong gas line into the Guinness.
Oh no!
And the carbon dioxide came through and it made this god awful glue out of the Guinness syrup.
Oh dear!
And it was like hideous. And these barmaids were forcing these patrons to drink it because they poured it. And this one young guy thought, well, that's a Guinness. And sure enough, it sort of, the head sort of came down.
Sort of looked like it. Yeah.
And he sort of drank it and it was gelatinous.
Oh.
And he's like, and you could see him going greener and greener and greener until he raced off as a Kazi's and bleh. And he just said, I've got to go. And the boss came out and went, "Where you done? You fucking stupid bitches." Because, the bosses always love to yell at barmen. It's like, well, maybe the cellarman shouldn't have hooked up the wrong fucking pipes, you dick. And then they had to clear out the pipes and all this beer went down the drain, and oh, what a fucking tragedy. Oh my God, you've lost $5. Oh my God, publican. Oh, please feel free to whip us with fucking knouting sticks, you twat. Someone else was a twat today, and I don't know why.
Stella's saying when she was in Ireland, they served crisps with all their meals, which is a thing. This Irish restaurant that I was talking about was not an Irish pub with that horrible. It was actually a restaurant, and it was run by Irish people, and it was good. It was very good. And I'm joking, like potato bread, but you know how they bring out bread. These are people, and it was the yummiest bread, and they'd have real butter, like real that Irish butter, and and it just like wolf it all down, and it's gone. And then they would just bring another plate of the bread, and you're like, well, fuck me, I'm going to eat that too. And then your meal would arrive and go, no, I've eaten 10 pieces of this really solid bread and I'm kind of full. Why did you keep bringing bread out, for fuck's sake? Well, you didn't have to eat it. I go, I can't. It's the best bread I've ever had. I can't not eat it if it appears in front, because it was always hot too. And it was just like, no, I have to eat it. I'm
When
a weak.
proper Irish butter goes on proper warm bread, you just go,
Oh yeah, no, it's the best. There's a name for that really famous Irish brand of butter, but it was just
pumpernickel.
It was exceptionally good, and yes, I missed that.
It's
Place,
3-armed pumpernickel is the word you're trying to think of.
I don't think that's the word I'm trying to think of, but anyway.
Look it up on Google. I think you'll find.
Pumpernickel is a sort of German bread.
No.
It's black bread.
It's an Irish butter. 3-armed pumpernickel is the Irish butter you're thinking of. Look it up on Google.
It absolutely, categorically is not. But I'm going to put Irish butter into search.
3-armed pumpernickel.
Shut up. Kerry Gold is the butter I'm thinking of. just as no, you had to be stopped. Kerry Gold butter is what I was thinking of. And pumpernickel is German black bread, for fuck's sake. And let's see, Stella knew what I was talking about. Kerry Gold. Oh shit! Almost knocked over my drink. And I'm a hobbit. I am absolutely a fucking hobbit. They would have to have, if they cast me in Lord of the Rings, they could have relied much less on forced perspective and just put me next to some tall actors.
Know what you mean.
Yeah.
I bloody could have had big hairy feet, except my foot now has a broken toenail in it and it bleeds occasionally and it's not nice. So
the hairy feet.
Lose your toenail.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares, and it never quite grows back together again. And I've kicked it against something. I think Jason's chair leg. I didn't want to say his name. Boss of the house's chair leg.
That's okay.
It cracked open and it hurt me.
Yes.
Quite excessively. And I spoke prayers. And
as you do.
I also talked about the reproductive systems. And I also spoke more prayers. And I was encouraging procreation again and again and again and again. Then spoke more prayers and cried.
Yeah, that seems fair. That all seems fair. You brought up the hairy feet thing. I just remember because I've watched the making of Lord of the Rings shit so many times. Sean Astin, who played Sam, it took an hour to put on the prosthetic feet. And Sean Astin used to always complain to Peter Jackson's going like, are we shooting my feet today? Why do I have to do that? You're not even going to shoot my feet. And Peter Jackson said, because it's there if we need it. And he's going, yeah, but are you going to need it today? Because I looked at the shooting script for the day and you're not going to shoot my feet today. And Peter Jackson would go, look, just do it. And so he'd do it and then be on an hour putting these prosthetic feet on and then, 12 hours of shooting. And the end 12 hours ago, so Peter, did you shoot my feet today? I don't think you did. Did you shoot my feet? And Peter's going, no, Sean, we didn't shoot your feet today. He's like, oh, there you go.
But of course, what none of them take into account, as soon as you get those feet on, you walk differently. Yeah.
And that's it. Sorry, I also have to answer Stella. The elven bread the hobbits eat is called lambas.
Lambas
I can beat Abigail to that. Also known as elven way bread. But the other funny making of, Sean Astin took everything way too seriously. Like, because they were getting helicopter, particularly in the snow things, they were getting helicopter dropped up on glaciers in New Zealand. And it's really the two guys who played Merry and Pippin seem to have taken those characters to heart because they were just fucking shit stirrers. And they would just be like, Sean just took everything way too seriously. Like, he would try and guide in the helicopter when it was coming in. And we're like, Sean, he's a helicopter pilot. He knows what to do. What are you doing? And just in the making of, they juxtaposed the interviews of Sean Astin said, oh yeah, I like to get involved. And I was, I helped guide in the helicopters. And then these other two guys going, what the hell was he doing? These guys are professionals. And Sean's standing there waving his arms. And we're going, what are you doing? They don't need you. What are you doing? But it was funny.
Mind
Oh,
you,
Abigail said Sean Bean had a fear of heights, which would not have been good in the mountain scenes.
no, it wouldn't have helped.
No.
It wouldn't have helped. Sean Bean's fear of heights would not have helped him in New Zealand. I know this
No.
personally. I was in the North Island. There's no mountains in the North Island, and fuck
No.
me, there's some tall things in the North Island. And you know, you go up the Khyber Pass, which is hilarious.
Yes.
There's a real road called the Khyber Pass, and we had to go up the Khyber Pass, and I laughed my ass out. And my New Zealand passenger said, "What's funny?" And I went, "You are fucking kidding me." And he went, I said, "We're going to have the Khyber Pass. Come on." He says, "Yeah, it's a place in India." No, it's not. It's the Khyber Pass.
Yes.
Up the Khyber Pass. And he was
yes.
like,
I'm going to go up the apples and pears to the bedroom and stick it up me partner Khyber Pass.
Fucking, you know, fucking make sure you're not upsetting her indoors. Sorry, fuck that up.
Oh, okay. So Stella and Abigail agree Sean Bean refused helicopter rides and would actually hike to the mountain stuff, which include trekking for hours and going up cliffs in Boromir costume because he refused to get in the helicopter.
And would often camp overnight. If they were having a shoot there next day, they'd camp.
Yeah.
In costume.
And then he would just look more authentic if he was a bit bedraggled.
He would.
When he
look more bedraggled and more like he'd fucking been on campaign for 6 months. And because they go, "Oh, we'll chop you down." No, you won't. I'll be camping here in a tent with the catering guys, because the catering guys had to camp overnight to cook for 5 o'clock in the morning. And they had to be on site and had to be ready to take fucking Fiji water to some cockhead at 10,000 meters.
And I also have to admit, spelling your name Seanbean and saying my name's Sean Bean, that's a power move. That is just straight up saying to people, "Come on, start something. I fucking dare you.
Have a go. Mind you, any girl who calls herself Sia Bahan deserves to be called Sia Bahan.
Well, I used to think that too. Like when people are telling me that's Siobhan, and I'm like, get fucked. But then I realized I've just been Anglo-centric, and given my Celtic background, I probably should be exactly the opposite and be telling the Anglos to get fucked. And again, no, it's pronounced that. I'm going to try and find it because there's a really funny thing. How to pronounce Irish names. There's a really funny joke about it. I'll see if I can find it.
Slithlamaclud. It's not Cullen. It's Slithlamaclud.
I gotta go joke.
Cthulhu.
Yes, that's an Irish name, I think. Can you pronounce these baffling Irish names? Okay. Oh. Okay, this one. Okay, no, this isn't the joke. It's a name that looks like Theodorcha, means dark man. I know it's not telling you how to pronounce it, but there's a joke and to have these names, and it's like the answer every time is, how do you pronounce this? No, not like that. Yeah, it's like one of my oldest YouTube friends is Irish, and he's given his kids traditional names, and it looks like Oisin, the kid's name. And he goes, "No, it's Oisin," and I'm going like, "There's no H there."
Why did you call him Oisin then?
Yeah.
I know a kid called Garode, and I went, "Why'd you call him Garode?" He said, "It's like corrode with a G," and I said, "Well, why don't you just fucking call him Gary, or something that people can say, like Rashid."
Sorry, now I've just popped into my head a Simpsons line when Homer's with his buddies, including Mo. They're playing cards, and he refers to going out to his garage. And Mo goes, "Oh, that how you say it? Garage, Mr. Hoity-toity French person with his garage." And Homer says, "How do you pronounce it?" And you expect Mo to say garage instead of garage, and Mo actually says car hole. What are you doing? What are you doing? It is absolutely surreal. Oh, you're having a seizure. Boss of the house, our man's having a seizure. Okay. I need to give him some privacy. Don't worry too much about AIDSy. The boss of the house is there. But that actually took me a second to realize what was happening. And as disconcerting as it was, can take solace in the fact that boss of the house is actually there to look after him. He'll be okay because boss of the house is there to look after him. I just switched the camera off to give him some privacy. That's the first time that's happened on a live stream, I think. And yeah, I can see him getting up now, but I think is on the favorable things is him retiring for the evening. But yes, no, I can actually see that everything is on board. I think he actually wants to come back and tell us he's okay. Is that what you want to do? Wave at me if you want to tell people you're okay. Okay, because I think people want to know you're okay.
Yes, bit of interpretive dance.
I literally thought you were taking the piss out of me at the start. I thought, okay, why are you doing that?
What was the last thing you said?
I know. I think maybe you should go and lie down.
Taking the piss, and then I fucking have no memory of anything except for boss of the house going, "Ozzy, stop that now."
Yeah,
and
that's what
stop what?
I reassured the folks that boss of the house was there to take care. But you've bounced back. I still think you should lie down. Okay.
Yeah, I think I should probably have taken my actual anti-seizure drugs before I came on.
Possibly.
Which I'll do now.
Hindsight is 2020, as they say.
You know, as they say, who knew you'd get a headache?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, I think I might. I'm having a lot of trouble putting words together in the line.
I think you should just go and lie down.
Hang on, hang on.
Go and lie down.
Angry is a poofter. No, I think.
Yeah, see, you're getting there. You're getting there.
Shit. Because there's been this question I've been waiting to ask boss of the house since he got home, and I had an opportunity then, and I just didn't. So I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
You should do that. Anyway, medication and go and lie down.
I remember we were talking about Sirbahan.
Well, yes, we were just making fun of Irish names. Yes.
And Cullen. Have you ever seen Cullen written down in Irish?
Yeah, well, there's that Irish history. There's that Irish hero that I always called Cú Chulainn.
Yeah, Cú Chulainn.
No, that's Cuchulainn.
It's Cullen.
Yeah.
You just go, no, it's fucking let down. It's like
it's Chulainn. Yeah. And it's no, that's Cuchulainn. And it's like, yeah, so you say, you know.
So it's you like, say. Yeah. I remember a Welfare State Theatre group, you know who they are.
Yes, yes.
They, when you left, no, they came to Mitchell.
I know.
And we played with them. It was so much fun. And I got a job playing with them. Whatever. Good. Even though I chuck fits on camera. Embarrassing. they said they got a written invitation to come to a Celid, and they went, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
And they're going, "What are you supposed to do at a Celid?" And of course, they're this theatre company, and they're supposed to be able to do anything in the world because they're
Yes.
an international welfare state theatre company.
Yeah.
And someone said, "So you come to the Cayley?" And they went, "Yes." Oh, we've been to fucking heaps of Cayleys. We know what to do at a Cayley. You get pissed and dance a lot. And hopefully, run off with someone in a different dress than yours. And they didn't know what a Celid was, and it's a Cayley. There's a whole Dire Straits album made for the film about this American who goes to scout out this country
Mark
town.
Knopfler did the soundtrack for it. Yes, there's some good songs on it. Yeah,
and one of them's called Cayley.
Yeah.
Salad. And it's really quite hauntingly sweet. And the other big track in the album is The Stars Over Port Something. He was going out going, "What am I doing? I've got to put this fucking oil rig in this fucking town. It's going to fucking destroy its oil. Fucking oil is just bad. There's going to be big nasty men fucking turning up, but it's going to bring money to the town. What am I fucking doing? How am I going to do this?" And then he has this experience watching the aurora over the stars and goes, "I don't know. I don't know what to do." And so eventually because it's a fucking 40-year-old movie, I'm not. The spoiler alerts are just not in effect. Eventually the geologists come in and say, "Look, there's a problem. The oil field is bigger than what we thought it is, but the shelf is deeper than what we thought it was. The platform's going to happen 40 kilometers off the coast, not just because they were basically going to build it just in the port, and it was going to suck because it was going to be a big bloody oil refinery on the shore, kill off the fishing industry. It was going to suck, and they said no, the platform's going to be 40 kilometers offshore, and they went, "Yep, do that." And
Stella knows the movie Local Hero.
Local Hero.
Yeah, that's
Local
the movie.
Hero. And then they have this fucking huge party because everyone gets everything. And he says at one point, and he dies he knows he's going to die the happiest man in the world, and he moves. He had to move there for a year, and he has to move out. And I think the last scene is him coming back. This is like 3 months later, and he comes back. Going because he goes back to New York, and then you can see him looking out at New York, and then you see him coming back to this little country town going, "Fuck it, I'm going home." And that's where the song "Going Home" comes from. And it's a song that Dire Straits always plays at the end of their concerts to bring the energy of the concert down, to make everyone go out into the street calm.
In a chill zone.
Not too rushy. This is the anti-epilepsy drug.
It made me think of a more recent Brendan Gleeson film called The Guard, where in this really provincial Irish town where the Gardaí are there, an American DEA investigation tracks a major drug transaction is going to happen. Like the boat's going to come in from South America with all the cocaine, do the deal, and then the other people are going to take the drugs to Europe. And it's just in this tiny little town with just, local coppers, the Guard. And Brendan Gleeson is so goddamn funny in this movie, as he's just trying to relate to a black American DEA agent in his sleepy little town. Good. Oh no, Gecko. Google forced a phone update that erased most of your phone. That's not good. That is not good.
Nice.
I always
Nice.
worry, like with the laptop, occasionally there'll be a red thing in the dashboard going, we're going to update your computer. And I'm going, no, you're not. Okay, we should do it now. Do you want to do it now? And I'm really carefully trying to find, in the middle of a live stream, trying to find the right bit to click that says, no, fuck off. Because there's a great big thing that says, do it now. And I'm going, no, don't do that. Don't switch my laptop off in the middle of a live stream. And it's just like, oh, Jesus. So,
my eyewear
yeah.
says, yes, we've updated you. We'll switch it over when you've got your thing off or you're not watching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I don't get to say this, do I? No. When you're asleep or when you're not watching or it's off or it's locked or you're not on. So if I can do 3 days straight, it won't update. But as soon as I close my eyes, that's it.
Oh, wow. Sorry, this is a random thing that won't mean anything to anyone, but my man Winston, who was the original YouTube community guy like 14 years ago, who came out here for things, and he's a really cool guy, and he moved on. I was looking for something else, and I just saw an update from him. He started working for TikTok in Singapore. I was like, wow. So he's keeping up with the trends. Now he's working for TikTok.
I met Winston.
Yeah, no, Winston was at our big day. Winston was there. Yeah, no, Winston's a very cool guy.
Very, very, very good to us.
Yeah, and he moved on and lived in Japan for a very long time. And he's just moved to Singapore, and he's just announced why. He kept going on without saying why until he was out of quarantine and actually working there. And now he's just started his first real day. He's working for TikTok, which is nice.
Well, I'm glad for him. I'm good on him.
Yeah, no, that's excellent.
I mean, he did a good job at bloody Google.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were the ones that were really impressed that we offered workshops at our big day out.
Yes.
And they copied it for themselves. Shame they didn't bring us along with.
Yeah, no. And then the various people I've had to deal with at YouTube over the last 14 years, community liaison, they have ranged from very good to very fucking bad. Like from someone like Winston, who was super helpful, to people like the last time, and it will be the last time I ever try, but about 4 years ago, the last time I tried to do a big event, they were actively obstructive. They not only refused to help.
That was just spectacular. I was along with the ride with that one.
Yeah, and they refused to help
halfway through, and you got fucking ill too. Just because of the stress of the fucking thing. And I couldn't fucking back you up, which pissed me off. And it was a fucking meltdown. And they were fucking going, oh, yeah, we're going to actively fucking sabotage everything you've done. And take the ideas you've given us and fucking give them to other people for free. And let them fuck them up.
They refused. They refused to help. They refused to promote. They refused to make any introductions. And then they took it one step further to the point where they were actively obstructing. And it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then actually probably more than 4 years ago, because the year after, oh no, that's right. No, it probably was 4 years ago, because the year after this fell apart, the first VidCon in Australia happened, and at that point, there was no point in doing it.
It was done, yeah. But I fucking went through every fucking single one of my comedy contacts to get that off the ground, and burnt them all. And we were doing okay, and these fuckers just came through and mowed down everything we managed to build. Yeah. And it was almost like, I honestly don't believe they were doing it deliberately, but
they were just assholes.
But
like they didn't. if you asked them, they wouldn't have said they were being obstructive because they didn't think they were. They thought they were just
No,
doing their job,
but
but
were.
they were being obstructive.
But they were being obstructive. Yeah, it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous.
But honestly, and I'll throw this out there, that was difficult. But the real killer was that no fucker in Australia would buy tickets to the event. I needed to basically sell 20% of capacity at least in advance sales, and I only sold out 1%. Like, no fucker. And subsequently, the crowds at VidCon have been shit. And it's for some reason Australians won't buy into it. Like, VidCon in Los Angeles is mind-blowingly big.
Fucking huge.
It's terrifyingly impossible to manage big. And not even they could get really big crowds in Australia. So, it's not a viable thing.
One of the Green Brothers has come out to fucking keynote the VidCon here.
Yeah.
You don't get bigger at VidCon than that.
Yeah.
And that VidCon was just very fucking sparse. And you just go, and you look at the booths and go, okay, maybe that's it. Because the booths aren't very inspiring.
No. That was the other thing. It wasn't just the crowds. I couldn't understand businesses in Australia not being part of it. That blew my mind. The fact there were no industry booths blew my mind. And Abigail is
understand that. Yeah. I could understand that because Australian businesses are fucking stolid in their belief of the product cycle model of business.
No, I understand it's because they're fucked. It's just I have trouble believing they're that fucked, but they actually are. And yes, Abigail's right. The biggest, best, most successful con in Australia is PAX, definitely. And in fact, it's the only one that's still reliable, the Penny Arcade Expo. My lad likes going to PAX. Shieldsy, it wasn't the Fine Brothers, it was the Green Brothers. But it's not just that, again, they sold it to a corporate. It got too big. It went from thousands of people the first year to tens of thousands the second year to 100. They went from a few rooms at a convention center to the Anaheim Convention Center. It's like one of the biggest convention centers in the world. Yeah. And it was the whole thing.
They overbooked it. To the point where they had to swap out whole booths overnight. The thing went 24 hours because they had crews coming in, swapping out about a third of the booths each night to get everyone in.
Yeah.
Who paid fucking good coin to be there.
Yes, there's a bit of coin involved in being there.
And it was just logistically full on. Apparently one of the Green Brothers didn't sleep for 4 nights because he had to oversee just decision after decision after check sign after check sign.
That would make sense.
Had no union trouble. And I remember was it Hank? Or was it
Hank is the one who runs it, Hank is the one who ran it, and he stays on as a consultant for the corporates who own it now.
Hank was saying that if they'd had union trouble, they would have been fucked. And they had no union trouble whatsoever, and they were still fucking running behind the 8 ball on every little thing that went down because there's a million little decisions that you've got to make.
Absolutely. And there's a whole conversation we could have there, but I have this overwhelming urge to go to the lavatory, and which is not going to wait, not even for the last 7 minutes I would normally be here. So I'm going to say good night to everyone really suddenly because I super have to go. And take care. I won't be on tomorrow night, but probably will be on Tuesday. So take care.